Okay, now we're seeing.
Of course, this button to confirm. All right. So again, thanks everybody for stopping by today. We have a great tool, great platform, new platform based on Microsoft PPM and Microsoft Power Platform, essentially. So we're happy to introduce this to you. I think this is a really, really breakthrough. A lot of people that I know from all kinds of PMO organizations and organizations large and small would really, really love that. And it's modern, it's new, and it's to a degree based on the project for the web. Um, to a small degree, I would say, but largely this is based on Power Platform. And when we talk about Power Platform, we obviously say and mean the everything that is basically off of the Office 365 and security wise and authentication wise, very, very, very secure these days. This is also, you can see that this is part of the basically Dynamics family. And for those who are more techy than others, those would kind of appreciate that this is based on CDS, Common Data Service. Anyway, there's a very advantageous technical features of the platform. And finally, I think I'm really, really happy to show something like this to all of you and on our webinar and to our YouTube viewers and share the platform. So we do have enough time to cover pretty much a lot of this here. This is going to be like a first live demo intro. Doesn't we'll probably not be able to like dwell into super detail aspects of the platform, but let's see if we can cover most of the ground so when you finish watching this you would feel really comfortable about the platform and what it can do. So as you can see, there's a lot of very modern and new kind of ways to present the menus and things like that. So you don't really see that in the commercial, Microsoft tools and things like that. So this is very nice to kind of give it a little bit of a life and feeling to solutions. So we're not just robots uh, doing our project management work. We really want to enjoy what we do, and especially these days when we're staring at the screen and a lot of us working from home and don't interact with people as much as they used to. We'd like to make the technology more friendly, and these days is more and more important. So obviously, you notice this links on the left side. There's always, you can go back to home. You can also look at recent pages, recent like links, recent places you've been to. So this is kind of user specific, and it's nice to kind of go back to some of those things where you were. This is something that I'd like to pin. If I can pin some of those pages, I can pin them and I can quickly find them here. It's almost like a favorites on your browser, but only within this platform here. But then all these links down, and you can see you can have sections. So we can have a work section here, and we can have different sections. Within those, we're gonna drill into those in a second. So we split it in section like work, strategy, the resources, benefits, insights, and reports. And then down below there's the whole, the another level. So we can dwell even further. So we can look at the settings and configurations and on and on. But I'd like to kind of walk you through very basic process where, well, in some companies may not be that basic, but the process where we call it, a life cycle, where we have initiatives and ideas that are discussed as a result of a business change or a business objective, things like that. So when you have those business ideas, so we have a specific section for the business ideas, and I can start with that, so we can capture the business ideas. I have only one at the moment. I can just gonna drill into this one business idea. I can quickly, get to the information and log this information, and in a sense, ask folks around me and send the link through chats or through forums, say, hey guys, what do you think about this? And maybe just grow this a little bit and help me to push this through certain funnel or through the steps to push this idea when it matures and grows into the business case, and we can actually make a project and execute on it. So the idea of helping organizations to collect these ideas, and there's all kinds of variations of how we can collect these ideas, starting from like text messages or chats or basically nowadays whatever the method we would agree on, we can actually start collecting these ideas in the very very raw form of it, starting with just the name or a short description. And you can see that these are the only ones, the name is the only thing that is mandatory here. Um, and then we can bring this and grow this to into the business case and start kind of creating this hooks to add to the organizational attributes, right? So we have different themes and benefits, and which we're gonna discuss further. But what I'm saying is that you can start collecting ideas here and moving this through the workflow that you would predefine in advance. Okay. Though, so the business ideas is one thing. We're talking about the strategy, which business idea is kind of one part of that strategy of the organization. And we can look at the strategic driver. So this is something somewhat inherited or somewhat evolved based from the original business driver. So very very similar concept. Um, with addition to that, these business drivers are also tied to different themes. So it's almost like if you talk about the portfolio organizational strategic objective, it's very hard to make it like a list of very concise 5 bullet points. You would likely have like more than one simple dimension to this conversation, to this list of strategies. So you basically, now we're having an option to have the business drivers and then create additional themes that would um, create the alignment or disalignment of our portfolio with our strategy, and which is the combination of our business drivers and our strategic themes. So any of these strategic drivers, and if I just click on one of those, any of the strategic drivers would have attributes, and again, we can work with the organization to create additional attributes, or basically, use or repurpose some of the existing attributes. But these are the attributes that we can use in order to set up the strategic driver. So the strategic driver here, the driver name, the owner, the strategic theme. So here we have the relevance of this strategic driver to the strategic theme. And then we can also create relevance. So here's a related project. We don't have any related projects, but once we build our portfolio up, we can pick either existing project and associate that project with that strategic driver, or create a new project right now. So that's an intro into the strategic drivers. And the strategic themes would be, so we have this one strategic theme here, where we have very, very broad kind of theme of the company. It's like UN, sustainability goals, or maybe US deal. Everyone talks about the COVID-19 these days and around this. So it could be something like our initiative to address that challenge somehow. And then series of projects could be created to accommodate to resolve that issue that is basically described as a theme. So anyway, this is so-called strategy options to kind of get into the more of the portfolio. The idea is we create the scoring model, and then we try to assign those projects and associate these projects with the strategic drivers, with these themes. So after all, we can run a report and see how many projects are influencing or not influencing certain strategic theme, right? So we can see how are we actually executing on addressing certain issues that are described into these strategic objectives and themes. So just coming that strategic overview of everything, let's just actually dive into the most, I think, most exciting one. I do like to talk about the strategy, and we can probably talk about this a little bit more, but I do wanted to kind of start talking about ideas first before we talk about projects. So when we, so speaking of which, so some of these ideas, so when we get into the funding or we get into this later stages of the idea, if the idea gets approved at the end of the day, then we can actually automate the process of creating a certain project based on the information that we have already collected in this idea through the life cycle of that idea. Again, it may or may not be that complicated. We're really just showcasing some of the capabilities down the road, and you can create additional branches of this workflow and make it really complex if you really want to. All right, so if I go back to home and go back to my lovely tiles here, where we have portfolio overview. So we're gonna look into the portfolio of projects. We can look at the program overview. So hallelujah, now we have program management framework right there in the platform, baked already in. We don't have to create that or configure that or buy some expensive add-ons to create a program management framework or portfolio management framework. More so, there's a concept of custom portfolios that I liked very, very much back in the day, and then they kind of disappeared. So the custom portfolios are very, very interesting, and I'll show you here. Then the simply project overview, and then we can look at the reporting and deliverables and risks and issues. All right, so let's look into the project overview. This is probably the most common case for most of you who are watching. If you're watching this, you're probably project manager or portfolio manager or project director, or somewhat your job is related to manage or to oversee this project. And as you can see right there out of the gate, you already notice that we already have very structured and very common KPIs, key performance indicators. So right at the gate, we can see that we have collection of projects here where we have the name, we have priority. So this is like a really subjective priority, and you can say, my boss wants it priority, and then that's what that's in his vision, and we can just simply say this is priority X, and just by putting these numbers, we can clearly see the priority, and we can always filter by priority. We can look at the name. We can look at the overall KPI and cost KPI and schedule KPI, percent complete. These are very, very common project management KPIs, project management attributes. I'll explain you a little bit more, but drill into this and see how it's really getting calculated. The methodology, you can probably be interested. So, we can see the sign of a project for the web little sign here. So we can either use project for the web as a methodology, which we decided to use in order to execute this project, or in some of this project, we decided to use agile methodology. In this case, we would use the Azure DevOps as agile methodology for our project. In some cases, you may want to choose Jira. In some cases, you may want to choose version 1. In some cases, you may choose, something else, the honeycode or whatever the new tools that are out there that you can use in order to manage your project. So this is, in a sense, even though this is sort of Microsoft, PPM, and in your mind you're thinking of Microsoft project complex scheduling. This is really a portfolio management, mobile portfolio management, project management tool that is, in a sense, specific scheduling engine agnostic or specific methodology agnostic. As you can see, we can use different methodologies here. I can envision the questions about the how do we manage the agile and epics and sprints with agile. We can table that for later, but let me just go through the initial run. ROI, return on investment, KPIs, and things like that. Current stage, so we can also have the project lifecycle here baked in. So here's we start designating some of these projects to a certain portfolios, and then we can have projects in this portfolio, that portfolio, and you can build your own portfolio and just manage that your portfolio that you're particularly focusing on. Start date and total budgets and effort, and there's more to this attribute. So in order to see all of them, let me actually drill into one of these projects. So I'm going to just click on that one project, and we can see what kind of metadata we have baked in here, and how do we collect this. All right, great. So so right now, right here, we have a project they call Trusted Group Project Implementation. And in this project, we have, this is the project name, that we can put a description here. And this is, you can put a lot of information here. Creating steering group, so you can choose, which group you can, assign it to a certain steering committee group if you have something like that in your organization. So a lot of big programs are assigned to like a steering committee groups where you have to report to those. So you can probably notice that there's team channel, right? So and you're thinking in the right direction. Yes, we do create automatically a team channel within a team, and I can quickly actually get to this team channel. I'm not gonna use my teams that I have on my laptop, but I'm gonna use this web for now to just to showcase that we do have this team channel created for this project. So I think I could have renamed the project to something else, but here's this channel. I renamed the project to from Final Test to Trust IT Group. Anyway, this is the specific channel that we created within this project. There's a planner board here. We can create a planner board for this project. So this is recalculated all roll-up fields. A lot of these fields are coming from other financial and information that could have been entered, as we speak, and we may not see the fresh copy, the fresh results of what someone else could have entered. And we can always recalculate this and see how those recalculations are showing up here on this financial summary information. Speaking of which, I just said when someone updated the financial information for the project, yes, there's no check-in, there's no check-out for this platform. And more so, you barely need to even use the save button here, because most of the time when you update something here, it updates and saves it automatically. And if you missed the save button, there's a save button here, the right lower corner here, for those who are familiar with dynamics. So there's a very, very intuitive interface as far as managing this data for the project. So there's a lot of additional information like links to the business, and here we're gonna be able to link this project to a strategic business driver. If you click on this magnifying glass here, I can see that there's two strategic drivers that I have there. I can say, this is my climate action strategic driver, and here's my portfolio. Let me see, maybe I can associate this with the Office 365 initiative portfolio. There's my association to the program. There's my association to the program, the project type. So I can have different project types and additional metadata: run, grow, transform, run the business, grow the business, transform the business. I'll just say this is transform the business. Sponsor, I'm going to look up into my Active Directory. This is the entire list, and I can search here my Active Directory right here. I don't have to have these users predefined in some kind of specific security. Well, I do have them need to be able to specify which groups I'm searching with, but the fact is it's pulling directly from the Active Directory. This is amazing. So I'm going to say this is going to be my sponsor department. So I have these departments pre-configured. Let's say this is IT department, or maybe also related to IT and marketing. Let's just keep it IT here. So next, I can simply attach a file to this project, right? I can have a in this case, we're asking to attach the business case. So let's just say you have a Word business case document or PowerPoint document. You can just attach it here. It'll be nicely placed, and you'll always be able to find it here. Latest status report. So this is something that would generate automatically on a weekly basis, and actually, as soon as you create a status report, the certain reports are getting generated automatically. So in the fact that you would be able to create weekly status reports basically automatically. I mean, you may not be able to see all the information in them because you haven't updated it in time. But the idea is that we would like to establish this process with the platform so it's easy for project managers to navigate and manage. So you can see probably that, well, there's a lot of tabs here, how easy it is. You can see as soon as you look into this, as soon as you start, putting your hands on it and use it, this is much simpler than that you've seen before from Microsoft and from us, as a matter of fact. So here's the methodology, right? So right now we have the traditional, the hybrid, and agile. So if we can choose either or. Traditional is like we have the schedule, waterfall-ish, like the hybrid we can have kind of both, and an agile we actually have the place for the epics and the DevOps, right? So if we choose the hybrid, then you see this content changes based on the selections. A lot of this has the logic and business rules, and we can create things mandatory. We can create certain actions based on certain actions. I don't want to sound complicated. Let's just go through this. So here's the benefits. We set up and specify the benefits. Launch a benefit, the benefit plan, yes and no. Benefits plan, we can select if there's a benefit plan, there's increased market share benefits plan. So there's benefit plans that are there that could be managed separately, and you can link your projects to those benefit plans. And the ROI is going to get calculated automatically. We also kind of, if you look at this list, this is the whole list called checklist, and we just go through this and say, what are the attributes, what are the features of our project, and we can either have the goals, clear goals, yes, check. Stakeholder analysis, yes. Communications plan, yes. Risk analysis, yes. Right. So this is kind of helping project manager to understand what it needs to have in order to move projects from initiate stage, right, to the business case stage, execution, and so on and so forth. So lots of capabilities. My favorite thing to show is the strategic impact. How do we score the project against the strategy, right? Remember when we talk about strategic drivers, right? We were talking about the different ways to make sure we show the strategic drivers so you can see them in strategic themes. So you can come up with the with a strategy and list those strategic items here, and then you can simply just score your project against the strategic impact here, and this becomes your score. at some point, right? So when you hit that, recalculate that, it's going to change the scoring of your strategic score. So that's that is our way to kind of adjust and tell the people with powers that be to say, well, how much this project is really impacting the strategy. Okay. So now we're moving to the next tab, which is the schedule here. And on the schedule, we're going to look at the classic project for the web portion that is baked into this platform. Okay. So here within this project, we're going to actually have some of these tasks. And I'm going to say create plan task. I'm going to say execute. I'm going to say deploy. I'm going to say validate, deploy, go live. Right. So you can quickly build your project for the web. You can build a project for the web. Duration. Where's duration? Depends software packet effort. So we're going to say this is like a 4-day, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. Just to simply go through them and see the timeline. We can look at the timeline and build our task. I don't want to spend this and make this about project for the web. Basically, you can manage all your tasks from here. Project for the web. You can create a board. This is the board where you can just simply move these tasks around. So you group this by progress. It's already broken down by not started, in progress, completed. You can simply move things around and make things complete. Okay. So that's as simple as that. You like to use it. You use the board. There you go. You can use it here. You like to use the grid. You can use the grid. If you like to use the timeline, you can use the timeline. Whatever you want to use. This is very, very web friendly. No checkout, no check-in. What you see is what you get. You manage it right here, and that's very, very simple. All right. So we looked at the project information. We looked at the schedule. We can look at the team. So this is a project team, and this is where we can say, what are those folks that who would like to work on the project? You can just add the team members here. Very simply, add a new, and we can pick this up. New project team member, bookable resource, the role. We can pick it up. Say this is the project manager. This is going to be Alex Robert, the project manager role. Save and close. That's it, right? So very, 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 very simple. All right, I'm gonna move away from here. Oops. Sorry, it's a live demo situation. We're going to go back to this project, and we were at the project team. So let's look at the financials. So let it load. Let it load. So look at the financials. We can also very much so manage our high-level financials information, and typical suspects, capital expenses, operational expenses would basically comprise our approved budget, right? Then we can look at our costs, and we can simply start adding the cost to the project. So we'll just say this is 22. This is $33, and we can support also multi-currency if we need to. But this is the example how we can quickly update Excel-like, very, very simple. Quickly update our expenses. We can also put the forecasts, and now we have basically 3 rails on which the financial tracking is basically based off of, right? The original budget, the actual numbers, and the forecast. So here's something that would allow us to create all kinds of, S curves and earn value and things like that. So you can plan ahead of time. This is 2020. This is 2021, 21, 22, 23, on and on and on. So again, financials are very, very simple to manage and yet very, very impactful as far as the numbers. And you can quickly see what's in here and what's not. Obviously, all kinds of possibilities possible from integration perspective. And this is for us to show that if you run a very simple financial model for tracking projects perspective, that you can run it over here and quickly have some of the insights into your financials right away. All right, KPI status. And a lot of us would like to create a lot of different KPIs as far as calculations and based on things that are calculated of the schedule. We understand and we like these calculations. A lot of times we also say that project management is not an exact science, so we don't really rely too much on those automated calculations. So we need to, as a project managers, run projects like this, for example. We would like to kind of draw the picture of what the feel of the status is, and then put some narrative into these statuses. So looking good, right? And things like that. So we can quickly update the status of the project by going to the KPI, and this would also reflect in our reports. We can quickly come back and change these traffic lights from yellow to green, from green to red, and highlight something that we need to highlight during that steering committee report that is coming up. All right. So
Alex, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to give you a time check. It's about 20 minutes to 3, so I have 20 minutes left. If you don't mind, I do want to launch a quick anonymous poll, and then maybe we can go on with the presentation.
Sure.
Actually, you would have to make me a host or a panelist again, because I do not have access to that.
All right. So let me see how I can do this again.
Or you can launch the poll from your end. Yeah, we just like to get a sense from our attendees, kind of what is working, where we need to improve.
All right, you're the host. You're the host.
Okay. Yeah, so this is just a quick poll. Like I said, it is anonymous, and if you don't mind, just take a few seconds to answer these questions. It'll give us some ideas whether you'd like to get a one-on-one custom tailored demo. As you can see, it's the very robust platform, and we could certainly answer a lot of one-on-one questions and tailor the whole demo to you. Also, this platform can be run within teams in a collaborative way. So another series of our webinars, we are planning to do that. So like to get input from you, or just, maybe you kind of had enough and you don't need to see anything else from us. Okay, well, looks like everyone had an opportunity to respond. So let me go ahead and close the polls and share the results. So, all right, well, thank you very much. I'll certainly take all this in consideration, and let me hand this back over to Alex. Alex?
I think I can still share. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you're still sharing.
Okay, great. So where we were at the KPI, and yeah, we have about 20 minutes left, and again, we're not gonna spend over time. So the KPI status is very simple. Again, we have overall status, we have the schedule status, we have the scope status, we have the quality status, resources, and cost, right? So that's basically covering 100% of anyone specifically looking at this. Overall status is very kind of descriptive. The schedule status is basically related to whether it's delayed or there's a danger of not making it in time. So you can set risk or delayed already. The scope of the project is, basically judged based on how many different changes we have for the scope. So like, same scope, or like there's no new changes to the scope of the project. Quality, issues, no issues, things like that. Cost. So this is where we basically say, if we're running over 10% of the budget, we probably red, and that's between 0 and 9% overrun. We're in yellow. From the resource perspective, resource availability, skill sets availability, we can also make this red or green or not set or available. So that's the KPI. The deliverables and dependencies, very similar to kind of historical deliverables and dependencies, although deliverables and dependencies could really mean some specific business deliverables for the project. So let's just say you have 1,000 tasks or big program in the project, and you'd like to track some of these deliverables separately from the business perspective. You may want to put them here and then track them down separately. And again, setting up dependencies between the deliverables, that's kind of also allowing you to set up a sequential kind of flow of those deliverables. Risks and issues. So this is where we can nicely set up your risk matrix and see how many risks you have that are in red, in yellow, and green, and impact of those risks, and basically create a new manage these risks this way. So here's a new risk, and you can say, I'd like to create a new risk. Let me just create one here. So I'm going to say this is a geo risk of being outside of New Jersey. I don't know, for some reason, just something that first came up in mind. So in here, we can already see that it places it in the middle, and this is yellow active risk, and we can change, or we can put some comments into it, and we can also no second. Right, so, and we can also change the status of this, and we can also set the due date and things like that. So let me just say click in here and change the view. You can change the view in a different section. Anyway, that's basically covering the risks and making sure that we collect the risks for every project. If we do that, then we can do it here. The team planner is basically association to the team, to that team planner plan over there. Issues and changes. Here I want to kind of spend some time in here. This is where we can create a new change request and a new issue. Again, with unheard of before. Right now, finally, we do have a change request system that is already baked into our PPM solution. So we have a change related to remote work, something like that, right? To remote work, and then we can say this is a resource change, and this is the priority high, and then the approver, project sponsor, cost impact, $1,000, something like that, and we can save and close. So this is gonna add a change to our change log, and then appropriate processes would kick in order to have the change approved by the business sponsor. So the reason I wanted to kind of click on that because the owner of this became, my user here. And going back to changes and issues. So again, the new issue, I can create a new issue for the project. Let's just say we're discussing something, and then there's a new issue. I can log a new issue. I have a different category for the issue. I have the priority for the issue. I have the state of the issue, due date, relation to the project. Here's the issue that we can create for the project. We can create an issue for the program, for the portfolio, or strategic theme. So something that we can track down the road and pull up all the issues that are related to the strategic theme, for example, versus the project itself. So that creates a lot of additional issue name. Of course, just stop talking about COVID here. Work from home issue with over productivity. All right, everybody's working over hours now, and that's kind of an issue. But anyway, let me just put it here, and you can have those list of issues here, the list of changes here. And again, speaking of which, this is all in one place. I haven't left even this app yet. This is almost like a one page app where you can just change the little windows here and stay within the same project. So here's the weekly status, and I created this weekly status 7/26. So let me create a new weekly status. This is going to be a week of 8/3, for example, right? And save and close. So what this does, it creates the process, and you'll see the report generated. I don't have the report generated yet, but it's going to generate the report based on the information that I currently have created in the project. So if I come back here, refresh here, this would create the report. I'm going to come back here in a second. So the Gantt chart is something that we can also have built and change it based on your deliverables and based on the project itself. So if we can create a new task here and then create a new task ABC and say that we can create a new tasks and make it really visually appealing and created. In the same way we can create these dependencies here in order to create and move things around. So this is the progress bars and things like that. There's a lot of additional features that are there that we would be able to drill into. Also, this is a new task here, and this is a new task A, B, C, D, something like that. And I can create, so these are, they're creating a new tasks within each other, right? So there's a story, there's a hierarchy of tasks. So you can create your own Gantt chart without necessarily doing everything in the scheduled project online. So anyway, there's also this, if you look at any of these objects here, like changes, risks, or themes, or business drivers, there's all this kind of related at the end of the menu. And you can see that each of these projects is related to benefit plans. Each of these projects is related to deliverables, dependencies, ideas, requirements, status reports, timesheet lines, on and on and on, right? So there's a lot of these objects are interrelated with each other, and that creates the capabilities to have robust platform. So these are projects, and again, if I go back to my project list, I can quickly look at them. These are all the projects. Some of these KPIs right there showing up to me. Some of these budget numbers are here calculated based on those financial information that we put in. If I start looking at the programs, If I look at the program, if I click on these programs, I can see that there are 2 programs here, and I can see sub-project count. So I see I have this program called with changes, and I have these the 3 projects that are part of this program. So here's the program information page where I can set certain program information KPIs, description of the program business case, etc., etc. I can also look at the related projects. Here's the second tab, and here's these 3 projects that are basically contributing to this program. And I can manage this program by coming here, look at the program, pick up my program, and start dwelling into each of this program one by one, understanding, which one is actually performing better or not. So as far as portfolios are working kind of the same way, although portfolios are not necessarily linked to associated to a strategic, associated to a specific objective, right? This is going to be a combination of different projects. And if I open the portfolio, let's just say the portfolio called Office 365 initiatives, I can open this portfolio and look at my portfolio status. I can look at the aggregate numbers of all the projects. And again, quickly going to segue into the related projects. I can see how many projects actually contribute to my portfolio. I can look at the financial details of my portfolio. And I can look at the portfolio information, right? So I can see that a lot of this is basically similar to the programs. Again, I can have alignment with the strategic theme. I can have a different description. I have a status. I have a discussion log. So every time I say something during a meeting or something, I like to just keep a note of this. I can always keep a note and say, enter a note here and say this is a quick note after the meeting. And then say notes here, and I can just add a note, right? And this is just gonna over time accumulate one by one, so I can see the history. It's gonna be a long list of these notes, and I can always go back and see what was discussed. Instead of sending these meeting notes after every status meeting, we can capture all of these notes here. And nowadays, we can also record the meetings if we need to, and then we can record the meetings and post these recordings here on these notes as well. So we can always go back and see what was discussed during the actual meeting. So you may not like the recording meetings, but you can do this for sure. Last but not least is we have all kinds of team planner. We're going to talk about team planner. We're going to have a separate webinar, a separate product about a team planner. And we're going to talk a lot about resources and how resources are allocated to these projects, how we can balance those resources, how we can quickly replace the resources with roles and things like that. We're going to have a separate webinar about this. So today we talked about projects. Today we talked about portfolios. Today we talked about programs. We'll talk a little bit about deliverables. So here's the list of deliverables, so we can create additional deliverables here this way. We talked about strategy, right, about business drivers, strategic themes, and how we can associate certain projects to a strategic theme. So let me just quickly remind that. So let's say this is one of the strategic themes, right? And we can say this is actually higher priority than maybe a neighbor strategic theme, for example. And then we can look at the related drivers, how many related drivers we have within that strategic theme. And we can also associate ideas and portfolios to the strategic theme. So you can see that how hierarchy of this is going to build up very nicely. So you have strategic projects, strategic portfolios. You have the scorings of all the projects against the strategic portfolio, strategic drivers, and you'll be able to kind of see some of the nice reports and nice information coming out of it. So I know that you're going to talk to me about the reports. So here's a few quick teasers about the reports. We're going to talk about this separately also. And a lot of reports we have built already. There are also Power BI built based reports. There's resource reports and portfolio reports. We can see all the financials, all the bubble charts, and all kinds of beauty coming from Power BI team, which kudos to them and thanks to those. I think this is it for now as far as me, going through the demo. I would take a few minutes to see if we have any questions.
Yeah, also I posted all the links to our YouTube channel. Join it. There's a lot of great material there. Besides this webinar, many other ones. Also a link to a replay of this webinar in case you missed anything. And we have a lot more coming, on reporting, resource planning, and we will announce those. We typically hold them on Wednesdays about the same time. So watch for our emails, watch for our social media. We'll announce them as they come up.
One last thing to mention about mobile friendly of the platform, and I just posted here different sizes of phones you may have, or you can have all kinds of iPhones and Android phones that have different sizes and proportions. And this platform is super friendly with those mobile phones. You can basically do everything that I just did on the phone. Here's this fly menu that comes out of it, and you can see the same type of menu on the mobile phone, and you can look into the projects, you can look at the portfolios, you can look at the status of the project, you can move things on the workflow, basically almost anything that you can do on the actual like big screen size web page, you can do the same thing on your phone. So that's extremely modern and a lot of progress we've made, and we're looking forward for you to. We hope this is gonna interest you in learning more about this, and we will be happy to show you more. Again, watch out for our webinars coming up. We're gonna do this every week from now on, and we're happy to share this information with you. And again, thanks for coming over today. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.